Here we are back at my desk. I'm currently uploading the vlog from yesterday, which was me, Ryan, and Manley got together. And yeah, so this is going to be a video of new hardware acquisitions because I got a lot of stuff. Most of the stuff is um, from the neighbors, which I'll get into that in a minute. But the other stuff is actually from basically stuff I've bought or stuff I've gotten from Manly or whatever. So, the first thing you'll notice is the keyboard in the background. This is a Dell AT101W. It works in the Hackintosh thanks to a USB adapter that I got for it. Manly traded my DOS keyboard for this because, I mean, I know the DOS keyboard's probably worth more, but I really don't give a damn because I just wanted to try something different. And I do have a Model M coming in at some point. I don't know when. It all depends on the owner of it and when he wants to get it out to me. But I will have a Model M coming in that I'll be able to play with because I've been wanting to play with the Model M for some time now. Anyway, that's pretty much the keyboard. Feels nice. I really do like it so far. The only thing with it is it does take a little bit more force to actually actuate the keys. This is not a cherry brown board like my old one, and the cherry brown boards are pretty light, so this thing does take a little more strength to type on, but I can adjust. So that's that, and then got something out in the distance here, and let's see if I can get it untrapped. Now, I do a lot of video game streaming on the side, and I actually have my YouTube channel set to announce when I'm streaming. Well, not really announce by way of upload video, but if you watch one of my videos while I'm streaming, it'll tell you, hey, he's streaming, go watch. But, basically, my last two microphones were this one I have hanging off my lamp here, which, if I can roll it back around, I can actually show you guys what it is. It's one of these little rock band microphones attached to a lamp holder for one of those like silver metal lamps. Whoop, did not mean to do that. And that worked for a little bit. The problem being is it is a desktop mic, so it will pick up pretty much any interference outside of me. So at that point I decided to pick up a cheap headset, which here's location. Nope, there it is. A cheap headset here, which I figured I'd get this to kind of get me by for now because, well, I needed something that wasn't going to pick up every little thing around me. And this worked quite great for a little bit, but then I happened upon something I totally forgot existed and got good reviews. And I ended up picking one up, is the mod mic, which comes in this very fancy little packaging. Actually, open it up. It's not in here. It's actually sitting on my desktop. But yeah, you get this wonderful stuff, a carrying case for it if you so decide to take it with you. And it is indeed sitting on my case or it's sitting next to my amp. But here it is. Basically, I can basically mount it anywhere and it'll work just fine, which really makes me appreciate it quite a bit. And I can basically, if I don't want to wear headphones, I can mount one of the mounting pads to my tripod and have it just sit next to me, and it should be able to pick me up just fine. So I can really configure it as like a desktop mic that is positioned right in front of me, or I can have it on my headphones, which works. Because my headphones are actually really expensive and really nice, so it's nice to actually be able to use them for this instead of a desktop mic. So there's pretty much that. Now we get on to the old hardware. The old hardware, basically what happened with the old hardware is when I was walking home one day, I noticed the neighbor across the way from me had a bunch of hardware just sitting out in the street, waiting to get rained on. I went over there and knocked on the door once. They didn't want to answer for me, so given that my girlfriend is very much a get shit done type of woman, I asked her if she could go over there and ask for me what they were going to do with that hardware. And it turns out they basically were going to send it off to Savers, but they never came and picked it up because they didn't want it. So I was like, I'll take it. I can, basically do things with it, hand it off to people in need and such, which I plan on doing if anybody ever wants any of it. I have some plans for a few of the bits myself, but I have to go through everything and determine what's working and what's not. But basically, I picked up a stack of hardware that may function, may not. I have to test it all out. But the first here, which is convenient to me because it's sitting on my backup desk, is this little guy. This is a Canon selfie printer. Not selfie as in printing pictures of yourself. But it has all of its stuff. The power adapter is behind me somewhere. It has a neat little, if you want to connect it directly to your camera that supports PicBridge, you can. That's there. You've got, get this thing open. It doesn't want to open. Oh, it opens from the other side. 2 USB ports, 1 traditional printer port, 1 for connecting like a thumb drive. On the side, we've got your ink cartridge. Then at the back, this is, I guess, where you would stick a card in from the back if you want to. Then you've got some pins here if you want to connect the battery. So, put this aside. I've already tested this. It actually seems to work. I just didn't have paper. But, thanks to the awesome person that is Manly, he actually hooked me up with a bunch of free paper samplers. So, I'll be able to actually put that to the test. Next up, the problem with this stuff is I have faith it works, but given the age of the hardware, its usefulness is very limited. A big fat stack of links. So let's start going over this one by one. You have a cable modem. This is a BFC MU10. This is only DOCSIS 2.0, so this could be still useful if you still have a DOCSIS 2.0 based network or connection. Like, for me, I could technically use a DOCSIS 2.0 modem because my connection, only the downlink is DOCSIS 3.0. The uplink is still coming across as DOCSIS 2. So I could technically use this, but my modem is already pretty nice and pretty beefy if you've seen my previous videos on it. If you haven't, it is the RS TM722G. It is a really beefy and powerful modem, and I quite like it. Works flawlessly. Next up, we've got a beefy router for its time. It's only 802.11b though, so it's not really going to get much done. But it is a BEFW11S4. This thing is heavy and beefy. I'm kind of ashamed I can't use it because I really do like it. I could probably use it for like a compatibility layer or something. Or my thought is actually using these for their switch functions, because as of right now, most of my computers aren't even gigabit. Well, I don't think my Latitude E6430 is gigabit, but I'll have to check. And I know the Hackintosh is indeed gigabit, so I don't know. But I just don't do, like, for reaching out to the internet, I mean, obviously my speed tops out at about 60 megabits down, so I really don't need anything faster than 100 at the current moment. Coming next is a wireless G adapter that you can't tell, but it's a WRT54GS. I think this is the crappy model of the WRT54G, and I have a million of them. But yeah, I'll hang on to that because, it's always nice to have a backup just in case. here we've got another router. This is a router without wireless, just a router. Might be useful. I'll keep it around. Then last but not least on the Linksys stack, a firewall router. Now this might actually be very useful. A VPN endpoint. This might be useful at some point. And the funny thing is this was destined to go to Sabres, and you can see here that it actually has a Sabres tag from 2007. That's quite funny. My guess is this person who I got this hardware from, she didn't seem to know what any of it was. So I'm guessing she, or someone she was related to, basically had all this crap and she needed to get rid of it. So they threw it out to Sabres and got nothing, and they didn't want anything. Alright. Less exciting. This. Just a stack of anti-static bags. Never have enough of those. So that was a nice thing to get. We do have some more networking equipment. I'm pulling it all off this table behind me. Got a Netgear router. This is 54 megabits, so this is 802.11g, not terrible. Kind of redundant in my current situation, but you know what? It's always good to have a backup. This piece of junk. This thing does not look very high quality. Belkin Wireless G. And then just another router. A D-Link router, actually. Not very exciting, but you know what? It's functional equipment, I'm pretty sure. I have yet to test it. But I'm pretty sure the Linksys stack will work because Linksys equipment is very, very, very good. And obviously not all of them, but I do have power adapters for everything in the stack. And now we get into the funner stuff. Not the funnest stuff, mind you, but the fun stuff. So, let's just set all this stuff down on the chair. Got a video card. PCIe, small form factor. You can tell by the Rev AO2 tag this is a Dell part. I'll have to run the part number. And I'll let you guys see the part number just in case you guys want to run it at some point and find out what this is before I do. But there's that. Wireless G card. I'd stick this in my custom built, but it doesn't have any PCIe or PCI slots. Here's something you don't find every day, but it's something nice to have nonetheless. An AGP card. Not sure what AGP card this is. But again, by Rev AO2, you can tell this is a Dell part. So, I think that's a part number right there. You guys can see it. I provide those for your convenience so you don't have to wait for me to be like, oh, this is what that is. Because I'm not getting to it in this video, I can tell you that much. This video card, however, we all know what this is because it says right on the top. NX7600 GT series. I don't know what brand this is. If anybody wants to pipe up and tell me, that would be awesome. I think it's BFG, but I could be wrong. But basically, this can run without a power source. So this will probably either go in one of the things that I have yet to reveal, or my girlfriend's computer, because she's running off integrated graphics right now. And even though she doesn't really use gaming graphics, she, you know, it'd be nice upgrade for her to have nonetheless. So there's that. Then we've got a few more fun things. These are all IDE cables of some vintage or another. I'm not going to go through all of them because we all know what they all are. And this is a stack of NICs. I these are... I don't know what speed these go at. They're all at least 10-100. We're not going to go through all of them. They are of varying vintages and of varying brands. Oh, hey. We do have one more interesting... A couple more interesting cards I also can't use in my custom build, as useful as they may be. D-Link USB card. Which, I mean, my custom build has a ridiculous amount of USB cards, but it doesn't have, or not cards, but ports. But all of them are USB 3.0. Not all of them, like all but 4, and I've already got the 4 filled up with USB 2.0 devices, so it'd be nice to have a bit more USB 2.0 ports to play with, because sometimes like Windows 7 won't recognize USB ports if you're installing from them. Or USB 3.0, if I just said 2.0. I can't remember what I'm saying. But, yeah. Windows 7 will not recognize USB 2.0 or 3.0 ports in some instances, so it's nice to have 2.0 as a fallback. Here's a SATA card, which seems to have an IDE bus on it, which is kind of interesting. That would be useful for legacy devices, but again, I can't use any of this because I don't have any PCI slots on my custom build. So this is going to have to go in the unnamed custom project that will be revealed later in the video, so don't worry. This also seems to have an eSATA port on it, which again would be useful because my motherboard does not have eSATA on it. Now here's something in the slightly more interesting category. This is a stack of sound cards. This one I think is probably the best of the stack. So there's one. I think these are all the same. An Audigy LS. This seems to be like a no name with a creative chip on it. Oh no, there's a creative model number on it. I own this card, or I've had it before, and it's a pile of junk. Another Sound Blaster Live. This card looks pretty interesting too. This is from 2004 though, so pretty sure it doesn't have any drivers, but it might. SB0570. It's pretty much, there's all that wonderful stuff. So now we're going to get into the very fun parts, but I'm going to jump cut to clean off my desk for the fun stuff, so we'll be right back. So you might hear the fan in the background. I apologize for that because it's getting quite toasty in here. Anyway, I figured I'd get one more quick clip in before I take a break to go get dinner, which will be instantaneous to you guys through the magic of video editing, as UXW Bill would lovingly say. And show off one of 2 of these that I got. One of these little boards. Now you might think this looks pretty unassuming. It's just some cheapo slim board with a crappy trackball on it. But you know what? You'd be wrong. It is actually a Cherry ML. Whoa, let's not do that. It's actually a Cherry ML 4400, also known as the G84 4400. And it actually is quite a rare board that you don't see every day. At least not being tossed out like this. Basically, it uses the Cherry ML switches, which are slimline but mechanical. They kind of feel like Cherry Reds with a little more definition to me. But it does feel nicer than, a traditional laptop keyboard. I think this one actually may not work, which would be quite sad if it didn't. The other one is actually under my desk, next to my custom build, and it works. I have it connected to the PS2 ports on my motherboard just for BIOS purposes, because the AT101W is actually going over USB, so it retains my compatibility with my Hackintosh. So, yeah, it's a nice keyboard for gaming, in which you need everything kind of, the WASD cluster kind of compressed in. Like for Payday, I would have to stretch way over to hit the G or the F key to interact with stuff, whereas on this board, it's not that much of a stretch, so I mean, I can hit it more easily. So it'd be perfect for limited uses such as that, but I mean, the layout is really odd and takes a lot of use, takes a lot of, to get used to. So I wouldn't recommend using it unless you really like that kind of stuff, but it's a neat board nonetheless, and if I can get the second one working, I'm probably going to get rid of it, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to take a break, get some dinner, and then we're going to go on to this one last part of hardware in here, and then we're going to go out to the garage where everything else is sitting. So this is one of the bigger surprises. This is what looks like a late revision Sawtooth G4. As you can tell by the circular ring here being clear instead of blue, or the darkish gray, as it was on the original Sawtooth. And move this stuff out of the way here. Go around back here. You can see it's got a different back. Like, for example, this is different. This hasn't even been removed. That's kind of interesting. It's been there for a while. But we've got an Ethernet gigabit, 2 FireWire, 2 USB. If we can zoom in on this here, it'll tell us everything there is to know about this machine. Alright. So it's a 533. It appears to be running OS 9 and OS 10, if the original hardware is still intact. Then we go around this way, and you can see that the front faceplate is missing, and the CD-ROM drive is just kind of falling out here. So we're going to go right around front again. We're just going to open this bad boy up. So, let's get started here, right, shall we? I'm trying to get over to my screwdriver, which doesn't have any of the proper bits on it, I don't think, but this one should work. So, let's see what we got here. Pan down here. We got what looks like the original battery, which should probably come out at some point. Doesn't look to have leaked though, which is good. Got the reset button. Massive heatsink for the G4, which doesn't appear to have any cooling behind it, which is kind of interesting. Got a stick of memory in here. If I can get it out. This is PC 1 something. Can't really tell how much it is. I mean, I guess it's the original RAM, so about 256. Got 2 IDE channels. One going to what looks like the original. Let's see here. And this does have all 3 bays left in it. It's kind of nice. This has been tampered with before because this screw is very much stripped out. But this actually looks to be a dual bay. Like, I can fit 2 hard drives in there. That's actually really nice. They've got 2 different bays here. They both have the mounting plates, which is quite nice. And this is an IBM Death Star, so this has to be the original drive. Yep, and you can't really see anything because I didn't adjust the camera. But you might be able to see it right there. It is in fact 30 gigs, so it is the original drive. ACBEL power supply, 126 watts, as you can see it barely right there. And we've got, amazingly, this metal shielding is still here. We've also got, on the other IDE channel here, a zip drive. Not sure if it still works, but it's worth messing around with. I am going to pull this hard drive out to kind of unseize it and clean it up later. But yeah, there it is in all of its dusty glory. That'll go on the side because I'm gonna clean this thing out. Let's see what the video card is. You know, if the thing would come out. It's got one of those locking tabs in there. Yeah, it definitely does. Ow! Nicked me a little bit. This is the video card. I can't tell what model it actually is. But it does have an ADC port, so it is original to the machine, very likely. I'm not sure what this little port down here is for. Tilt the camera forward. This little guy, I'm not sure what that's for. I think that's for ADC power, actually, now that I think of it. Yeah, I think that's what it is, because ADC requires a 24 volt input, so, or output from the card, so it does need a little bit of extra help. So I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So we're just going to stick it right back in here, because this card is kind of useless in anything else but this power Mac. Yeah, I think either that's for ADC. Well, I know it's for ADC, but it could also be additional power for the video card itself if it needs any. Just gonna put that right back in where it came from. Now, what I want to know is what CPU this lovely thing is packing. I don't know, because, you know, given that some techie might have had this before I don't know, given the household it came out of. But we'll find that out when we boot the thing later. Not this video, of course, but when I go to get around to doing a separate video on this thing, I will boot it and we'll find out what it's packing. I know the RAM has to be stock because there's only one stick here. But that's pretty much it. I think if it works in this system, this might be a good destination for that SATA card, because the only other system I'd throw that card into already has a ton of SATA. So, alright, well, we're going to go into the garage now, and we're going to look at the stuff in there. Alright, so this is the first bit of haul from the garage. This is a Pixma IP1700. Seems to have ink in it, and it does power up. And I've actually tried over there with the laundry room outlet, but it just immediately goes into jamming mode. So like this will start blinking and it won't accept any paper. So maybe I need to get the right paper for it because I was just using like an old letter that I didn't really care if I lost. So we'll have to go through this later and see if it actually will get up and start working. excuse the mess that is my garage, but you know, this is kind of like where we shoved everything and never really got around to it. But this is a Dell Flopdiplex, as I like to call them, with a monitor that would be very good if it wasn't marked bad. I have good reason to believe it actually is bad, but you know, you never know. We're going to move this aside. Seems like a really nice monitor if it actually worked. That's a shame. But basically this thing is very much dead as well. Let me flip the camera viewfinder so you can actually see. No CD drive. Doesn't even have a floppy drive. This is a GX270. It's got a Pentium 4 based Celeron in it. So it's pretty junk. And it's even more junk once we open it up, because it does have some RAM in it, which I will take this because I might have a computer to use it in. But it's pretty junk because everything is gone. Everything. No CD drive, no floppy drive. Like, the floppy drive isn't even, there's no way you can put one in here. The processor is still there, I'm guessing. But right here, I don't know if I can get on camera. I'm going to certainly try. If I can get it over there. You can see the top of a long blown capacitor. So this thing really isn't worth anything. The power supply might still be good, but the power supply is also Dell proprietary, so that thing's probably just going to get stripped of parts, of useful parts, and then thrown out. Because out of the many things Dell made proprietary with these machines, at least the screws are not proprietary. So I can pull the screws out and put them in my custom build, because I know I'm missing a few in there. Anyway, we're going to turn right around here. Here's what I think is a good Dell monitor, but it's kind of janky. It's old, so we'll put that aside. However, this is something that might get some use if it works. I have reason to believe it will, because nothing looks obviously wrong on the motherboard. The caps are actually in good condition. But this is a Acer Aspire. Let's see here. It's an Aspire AST 180 UA381B, and it runs a single core Athlon 64, and it has a Delta power supply in it, which isn't terrible. I was expecting a Beztech. It has some SATA, it has a PCI Express, so I can run that graphics card off of this if I so please. It has a modem in it. It has some RAM, which, here's what's stupid. Here's an idea. Oh no, somebody took off with the other RAM stick in here. That's kind of interesting. I was gonna say, this is how much Microsoft has set up the Vista platform to fail, because it's like they had 1 gig of RAM in here, it's single channel. Because this is DDR, I think this is DDR2. Yeah, it is DDR2. They had DDR2 in here, and running in single channel. The performance would have been terrible. But this is DDR2 512 meg, so there's only half gig in here. There's no hard drive, so I have no idea what they were running on this, but I sure hope it wasn't Vista. I was trying to run Vista on this. Just all of my no. But pretty much, this thing is going to get... I don't know what to do with this. DDR2 RAM is extremely expensive these days. So I'm not sure if I want to put in the money to revive this. But who knows? Maybe it'll happen one of these days. I do want to put like some of the... I would like to turn this into maybe a router of some sort, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Moving on here, if we come right over here, we have another computer. It's actually somebody's custom built, but I am not sure what it has in it, because I have yet to pry into it. move this box. Does have its hard drive though, so I can find out whatever they were running. I'm guessing XP. That looks like either a really early, I think that's an early Pentium or it's an earlier AMD socket. But yeah, you can see here, this case is kind of worse for wear. Hard drive out of our way. It's not even held in all the way. Case has really seen better days. I'm not even sure what motherboard this is. There's no branding on it whatsoever. Just a model number. The power supply though is an Aztec, which is kind of interesting. I haven't seen them in a while on anything. It's kind of upside down, but I think 200 watt power supply, so this has got to be a really early machine. The RAM was robbed of it, of course, so I can't really do much with this other than pull the CPU and hope it's something halfway decent and put it in my parts bin. But that is that. Then we got a couple more things. We have this red case. It was completely hollowed out, so it's completely useless. And then we got this guy. This is another video card. I actually pulled it out of this system. Old ATI card, of course. And this is a laptop with the screen removed. It is a Compaq Presario of some sort. I remember these from high school. Windows XP. It's got a Windows XP COA on it, so I don't want to show the bottom off. Battery's still there. I'm pretty sure the RAM is still there. And the hard drive. But that, if that actually has its hard drive, that would make a very good part to add to the parts bin, because IDE drives are kind of hard to come by. Laptop IDE hard drives are even harder to come by. So having a good stock of those is always nice to have. Alright, well with that, we got a couple more things and we're actually done with this. This is actually the box in which I found those cherry boards. And I found actually a USB Keytronic board, but that actually turned out to be bad. Some of the F keys don't work and the space bar doesn't work, so that makes me sad because I really like Keytronic's boards. We got this old Dell board here, which has media keys on it, so it's actually a nicer board than their usual boards, but still rubber dome. Still pretty junk. Got a power supply that goes to the CD-ROM drive on the floor, the external. A CD-ROM cage, which terminates in standard IEC. A ton of mice, this one being the odd one. Like, I guess you were supposed to use this on your thumb or something. Some keyboard things for a Microsoft keyboard of some sort. Top cover for that thing. This is something you don't see everywhere. Logitech mouse. I'm pretty sure we all know these mice. We've seen them. Compaq has rebranded them. HP has rebranded them. But I've never seen one that actually plugs in via USB. So, quite interesting. This would be interesting to see if this actually works. The Logitech trackball that plugs in via PS2. I actually had a serial version of one of those, but it didn't work, so eh. Anyway, that is pretty much it for the hardware haul. I know I skipped over another keyboard, but it's really not worth our time. But you know what? It's pretty much it. And after this, I'm actually going to start cracking on messing with the G4. Because, you know, they say save the best for last, but I say screw that. The G4 is the most interesting machine in this group to me. So we're going to see what that thing can do. If it's running OS 9, I'm going to be very happy because I want to really run OS 9. I want an OS 9 capable machine. But furthermore, Manly hooked me up with some install media, so I should be good even if it needs a hard drive replacement. But I only have 10.4, which is not going to run very well on a older machine like that. So we'll see what happens. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.